It's time for another haul video. You all remember that I purchased Her Highness Red and I got really intrigued because I know that there are 4 in this line. So me being the completionist that I am, I had to go get the other 3, of course, right? Real quick note about this. This is musky. It's a bit floral. It's a bit fruity, and really just like an elegant, lovely, mysterious even kind of fragrance. So let's see what the other 3 are like. So I picked up Her Highness Black. I find this fragrance to be soft and floral, seductive, flirty, a little spicy, maybe even more feminine than the red one. This is beautiful. This one has some pepper in it, some tuberose, a lang-a-lang, a lot of florals going on in here. This is one that needs to be worn by a confident woman or man for sure because it's such a unique fragrance. So next is His Highness White. I have to admit that I cheated and tried this one and I really, really, really like it. It's one of the spiciest, sexiest fragrances I've tried in a long time. It's got heavy cardamom and nutmeg and pepper, saffron. In the base, you get this lovely mix of patchouli and sandalwood and musk, and there's even an almond note in here. Yeah, this is one that and these bottles are in, it depends where you get them, in the 70-ish dollar range, somewhere in there between 60 and 80 for the most part. They could easily charge hundreds of dollars for these bottles and get away with it because they're really beautiful, nicely done fragrances that smell like they should cost a lot more. I'm always really careful about saying that because when people say, oh, something smells luxurious or expensive, and I say that too, I'm guilty too. What exactly does that mean? I don't think that's really helpful, but let's just say that this smells beautiful. The 4th one in the line is His Highness Green. My husband said that this smelled like a dupe for one of the Polo fragrances, and of course I've forgotten what it is. I'll put it in the screen if I find it. But I like this fragrance not for myself. It's very masculine. I think it's a wonderful fragrance for my husband. It smells to me, it smells almost like it has a cannabis note in it, like a really strong cannabis note. Does it? It says it's nutmeg and cardamom and cumin and saffron. Maybe it's the geranium. In the heart, it has geranium, blossom, and myrrh. That might be what I'm picking up here. In the base, you get some wonderful stuff. You get sandalwood, patchouli, cedar, frankincense, musk, even almond again in here. This is another just divine fragrance that smells, I don't know, just opulent and decadent. Do you know what I mean by decadent? When you have a very, very rich dish or dessert, I think of those as decadent, like just heavy with, butter and wonderful sauces and wonderful spices. This is like the equivalent, the perfume equivalent of decadent food, but not food like, not edible.
What are you talking
Abandoned ship,
about?
Veronica. It's nice. It smells like the bottle looks. Green, masculine, awesome. I also picked up, on recommendation from Lulu here on YouTube, Private Blend Royal Rose Morocco. I believe the house is pronounced Chkoudra, Paris. Really beautiful, opulent, another opulent fragrance, deep, dark rose to me. This is like a gothic rose, in my opinion. Well, maybe the bottle makes me think that, I'm not sure, but it's a beautiful rose. It reminds me somewhat of Rose L'Extase Absolute from Nina Ricci. Kind of like that, maybe a little bit lighter, but it's got a beautiful soft oud in here. And the rose is just exquisite. It is what it is. It's a very affordable fragrance, still available out on FragranceNet. With the coupon, should put you at about $30 or so, somewhere in that range. FragranceNet has those coupons. Next is the latest addition to my Carolina Herrera, or Carolina Herrera if you want to get a little spicy with it, collection, and it is Platinum Leather. So this is not a feminine fragrance, and I don't think this will be a safe blind buy. Actually, nothing in this line is a safe blind buy for most people. But if you are a leather lover, if you like ombre leather and you want something even more linear than that, this might be a great option. It's straight up leather, like a really clean, simple leather. Maybe could even be considered a light fragrance if you spray lightly. It can go heavy if you spray heavy as well. The notes say that it also has jasmine in it and vanilla. I don't pick up a lot of that. I pick up sort of a very, pure, true to form leather, maybe with a hint of musk. It's a bit of a dry leather. I like this. My husband likes this. Actually, did he like it? No, I take that back. He didn't like this as much as the others. But I really like leather, so this is a great one for me. My next pickup is Istanbul by Gallivant. I will say this little bottle, this is, I think, a 30 ml, and it was $90. So a little bit on the pricey side, but a really nice fragrance. So I purchased a discovery set after seeing Maggie at Total Fashion Sense and Jonathan at Eau de Sense and La Perfumerie, Victoria, do an interview with the owner of Gallivant and hearing about his vision for the company and the idea behind the fragrances, which are like the essence of the various cities that they wanted to feature, including Istanbul. And the discovery set was a great experience, but Istanbul stood out as the clear winner. I also heard Chris at the Perfume Nest talk about this quite a few times, and she described it as like a spice market in the Middle East. And I think that's right. This smells like a cabinet full of amazing spices. So imagine this as like a really wonderful amber base, a little bit of patchouli, some cardamom, and a heavy dose of vanilla, kind of all mixed up, rounded out by a smooth like tonka bean note. I'm going to enjoy wearing this, especially as it gets super cold. A very, very cozy fragrance. The closest thing that it reminds me of is Amber de Alexandra by Boucheron. Really nice. I ended up picking up Divine Vanille from Essential Parfums for the same reason. I saw a live with the same people and the founder of Essential Parfum, and loved their storyline. Loved how she described that the atomizer tube disappears after you spray it, and it pretty much does. I don't know why I think that's so cool. Very amateur of me, but I think that. And what I love about this, so I bought a discovery set from Essential Parfums as well. There were some nice ones in there, but this one really stood out to me. First of all, very affordable. This big bottle, I don't remember what it was, but I think it was either 100 or right under, if I'm not mistaken. It's described as an amber vanilla, but what I love about this is it's such a beautiful dry down of wonderful vanilla, like the most heartwarming vanilla. Really smooth, round, maybe even like buttery. And it's just delightful, really nice feminine fragrance in my mind, and one that is sort of pure. While I was thinking of buying a full bottle of Kayali Vanilla 28, I think I will stick with this because it gives me the same thing that I was hoping to get from the Kayali fragrance, and actually has some lasting power. Divine Vanille. The next pickup is Ameer Al Oud Intense Oud from Lattafa. I heard Sniffing Fragrance, I believe, talked about this, and as well as Adriana DC. The descriptions were right on. This is a very sweet, delicious, gourmand-ish kind of oud. It smells like melted brown sugar to me, like when you sprinkle brown sugar on a custard, for example. It gives you something like this. There's even a little bit of like marshmallow vibe in there. Definitely a woodiness and an oudiness to this for sure. It's a softer oud that may be appropriate for folks that are beginners with experimenting with oud. It does remind me somewhat of By the Fireplace by Maison Margiela, but is even sweeter than that. This is like a sweet tooth version of that, and very nice. Lasting power was okay. Maybe I got a half a day's worth out of this, but it's so lovely when you spray it on. It's like this comforting, desserty oud that will be great for super cold weather. You might remember that in a previous haul, I picked up Desert Serenade from the Prada olfactories line, and I wanted to explore that line a little further. So the next one that I picked up is Moonlight Shadow, which is, let me shine that out for y'all, okay? Give me 1 second. Is that shined? There we go. What I get out of this is like a leathery fig. Really beautiful, soft, sweet fig with a leather base to it. I really like this. I find this to be similar to Desert Serenade, but almost like a fig cousin to it, with a little bit more depth, maybe even a tiny hint of something chocolatey, and certainly some sandalwood in here. Beautiful fragrance. Desert Serenade is my favorite of the two, but this is super nice as well. I like this. Moving on to one that's really hard to shine up and that I don't know how to pronounce. I'm sorry. It is, I think, Mirage or Mirach by Tiziana Terenzi. If you know the pronunciation, please drop it down phonetically in the comments for us. I'm a fan of Tiziana Terenzi. I haven't gotten the dud from the house yet. I will say this house is not for everyone, and not all the fragrances in the house are for everyone. I'm sure at some point in the future I'll run into one that I have issues with, but so far I've struck gold, at least for my taste and my husband's taste. This is an oudy, spicy, floral fragrance. It does remind me a bit of Tibet, except leaning more toward the rose side of things. So this one is more floral, whereas Tibet is predominantly like a musky fragrance, and this one also has a lot of spiciness in it. It's got saffron, it's got nutmeg, it even has ambergris, which I think is super interesting. So there's like a hint of saltiness in here. If you know to search for it, you pick it up. But you get a lot of beautiful rose in here with also some sandalwood. It's a really complex fragrance and really nice. Not one for beginners. If you don't know what you're getting yourself into, don't go blind buying something like this. You might be disappointed or think it's weird. I think it's beautiful. This gets 2 thumbs up from me. One of my favorites from this recent haul. This one I blame squarely on Marcy at Marcelina Teresa. I've been calling her channel all this time Marcelina Teresa. Marcy, I've been making you my cousin from the same family, but it's actually Marcelina Teresa. So sorry about that, Marcy. You're so gracious in not correcting me, but she turned me on to this fragrance when she did a haul of what? Trussardi fragrances. We chatted a little bit on DM and I decided to purchase this one on her recommendation. Look at that thing. It's a greyhound cap on it. Come on, face this way and look at the people. Let me attempt to say this name. Uh-oh. This is from the line called Le Vie de Milano. And the fragrance is called Passeggiata in Galleria Vittorio Emanuel. 2, dos, due. How do you say 2 in Italian? I don't know. This is divine, gorgeous. Marcy did not lead me astray with this one. This comes across to me as a hazelnut, coffee, coconut fragrance. It has a little bit of vanilla in it. Well, maybe more than a little bit, but what I really pick up is like a hazelnut coffee. Like you stirred in just a spoon of coconut oil in that, and it mixed together, all hot and steamy, with the vapors that would come out of that is what this smells like. It's so nice. This is beautiful. This is unique. I don't have anything like this in my collection. The closest thing I can come to is Coffee Addict from Theodoros Kalatinis. Kind of similar, but this is more like on the hazelnut side, whereas Coffee Addict has more caramel in it. Really beautiful. This was sold out everywhere, so I had to go to a site that I don't normally shop on. I think it's called Joma's Shop. I'll link it below in case you're interested in checking out that shop. This is a winner. So overall, this was a super successful haul. I got 11 winners, this being one of my favorites and the other favorite being His Highness White. So I just filmed a Halloween video, and that's why I've got all this crazy looking makeup on. If you're interested, it is Tati's Textured Neutrals Palette 1. If you're a makeup lover and you have that palette, you know that on the far left, there's this entire row of black eyeshadows, including a glitter and a shimmer and something else, a matte one and whatever. There's 4 shadows and I never know what to do with those, but here you go. I made this look. What do you think? So I'm popping on here to add 5 fragrances onto this haul video so that it's an all-in-one. The next one I'm going to talk about, you'll have to go check out that Halloween video because I describe it there. But let's just say it is terrifying, not a blind buy. When people say it's not blind buy safe, they just mean it's challenging. I'm telling y'all, this is beyond challenging. This is challenging times 10,000. Laudano Nero by Tiziana Terenzi. Smoky, earthy, incensey, terrifying. Go check out the end of that Halloween video if you want to hear more about this. But I'm glad I have it in my collection. Sounds weird, but this is fascinating to me. I heard a lot of people raving about this next one, including Richard Keycott. I heard Marcy at Marcelina Teresa raving about this. I heard Chris at the Perfume Nest. And listen, I have FOMO just like you do. If you're a viewer and not a YouTuber and you're like, gosh, these YouTubers keep making me spend my money, I say the same thing. My YouTube friends are like making me spend my money because they talk about things and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta have it. So this is one of those. It's Majestic Woods by Juicy Couture. Very nice, very sort of sophisticated woody. It reminds me slightly of like a softer version of, and I think it's just called Woods or Woody or something like that by Tory Burch, like just a pure woody fragrance. Really soft at the same time. Nice. This is nice. Sophisticated woody. Fragrance that I told myself I was not going to purchase. But since it's fall and it's got like this apple note in it that gives the impression of like apple pie, people have been talking about it a lot. And I'm like, all right, fine, I'll go grab it. Even though, now, if you're a reviewer, you've probably seen on your channel where I have been like, oh, thanks for your notes. I was thinking about that and I'm not going to get it. And then I'll go watch someone else talk about it. And I'm like, okay, I have to have it again. This is what happens in this brain. You know what I mean? But I finally picked up a Swiss Arabian Casablanca. What can I say? I was resisting getting it. This comes across to me kind of boozy. It's like apple with like an apple liquor beverage. Apple flavored liquor. Does that make sense to anyone? Like when you have an alcohol that's infused with apple, this is what you get. Or when an apple is so ripe that it's ready to throw away, that it's almost like fermenting, that's kind of what I get out of this. And I mean that in a good way. It smells good. So we'll see. The performance on this, the sample that I had from this wasn't the best, but finally got Miss Casablanca. We're going to test her out this fall. I also finally picked up a fragrance that I have been eyeballing for a long time. Another one that's super hyped here on YouTube. I had a sample of it that I wore to bed one night and my husband went bananas. We already know when Darren likes a fragrance, Veronica adds to cart and it's in my collection, period, end of story. That's a slam dunk. This is a slam dunk. Initio Atomic Rose. Oh my gosh, this is one of the most ladylike, sophisticated, grown-up, beautiful fragrances. I was hesitant to pull the trigger, but I was finally able to find this at a more reasonable price than the retail price for this. And I knew I had to have it. This is drop dead gorgeous. This is coming from someone who has not always been like the biggest lover of rose fragrances. This is a rose bomb and it is just beautiful, sultry, amazing. And husband loves it. Do I need to say more? I put it on, he goes crazy, everybody's happy. Atomic Rose, Initio. I also took a chance on a fragrance that I have never sniffed before, but it was reasonably priced and I liked the way the notes sounded. And I'm not going to say this correctly. Suede et saffron. Saffron. Suede et saffron. Suede et saffron. Saffron. This bottle here. It's from Nichane and it's ambrette seed, saffron, suede, ginger, musk, leather. It tells you right on the bottle. Oh my God. This is not a girly fragrance. It is not feminine. It is very masculine and I love it. This is one of those masculine fragrances that I think smells fantastic on me. Now, this does remind me of Platinum Leather from Carolina Herrera. It also reminds me of Saffron Lazuli from that same Confidential line, and a number of other very heavy leather fragrance. Also comes across a lot like Tom Ford's Ombre Leather. All of those things mixed together, and yet this has its own special, beautiful flavor, develops gorgeously on my skin. It smells very deep and rich and opulent on my skin, and I love it. And it lasted a long time. A couple of sprays of this, and I was like atomic leather running around this house. This is one of my favorite blind buys of the year. A video on that is coming up soon. I can't wait. Actually, I think I might do it closer to the end of the year. A favorite blind buys of 2021 kind of video. It's going to be exciting, and it's going to be really hard to do because there have been more wonderful blind buys than fails. There have been a few fails, y'all. There have been a few fails. But for the most part, I have liked or loved everything that I have blind bought. That said, I'm pretty easy to please when it comes to fragrances. Something has to be quite rancid for me to not be interested in it. Anyway, happy with this. Beautiful. That concludes my haul officially this time. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you spending some time with me to see what new goodies were added into my collection. I hope you'll have a great one. See you on the next one, friends. Take care.